So Nasser, welcome. And with no further ado, Saudi real estate is capturing the global attention, as we see. How would you describe this new chapter?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you for inviting me. It's truly exciting times, whether being here in the forum or being a citizen of Saudi Arabia and witnessing what's going on in Riyadh and throughout the country. What's driving this momentum is the change and the strong desire to transform the kingdom through the various Vision 2030 programs. Since the vision has been announced, I think the country has been on fire. We're trying to improve the quality of life, diversify the economy, create new industries such as tourism, entertainment, promote sport. We're pushing mining. We're investing in electrical vehicles. The list goes on and on. We're trying to also invest in making Riyadh and Saudi more green. I believe Tucker mentioned about planting trees, which is very interesting and timely. So yes, there's a lot going on. As a group, we're kind of in the middle of all of that proudly.
Absolutely, Nasser. So now after we have this point of view about real estate and the context of the market, especially in Saudi Arabia, I want to shed the light on a very important topic that is clearly important for Al-Bawani. Real estate touches all of us. And I want to get your opinion about how Al-Bawani work reflect the responsibility toward people, community, and the future generations.
Our story is a reflection of the kingdom's transformation over the past 50 years. We've had very humble beginnings, being a supplier of raw materials in construction. We stepped up to become a subcontractor, then a main contractor. We've won our first 1 billion riyal project back in 2010. It was the King Abdullah Cancer and Liver Diseases Center, which is an outstanding medical building. My parents go there, and every time I go there, I kind of feel that we've really delivered something good for the country, alhamdulillah. Then we moved on to, we won the first $1 billion project, 10 years later, and we carried on. We've reached a scale where we became a force in the local economy, and we felt the duty to really invest in our youngsters. We established the National Construction Academy back in 2022. This is basically a non-profit organization in partnership with the government where we train young Saudis right out of high school on soft skills, hard skills, mainly vocational, to employ them in the construction sector. Contracting project development is one of the biggest employers in the economy. In Saudi alone, we employ more than 4 million people, so it is significant. And we felt there is a need to have our youngsters be part of transforming the vision into reality and build things with their own hands and take pride of that. So we've so far employed 700 students from the graduates. We have 9 more contractors joining hands with us. So yeah, I'm the chairman of the academy, and I obviously speak very passionately about it. We are involved with various non-profits as well. Tarmeem is an organization we support. We've helped refurbishing more than 2,000 homes for the most needy people in Saudi, and the list goes on and on. So we are an active participant in the local economy, and we're certainly very proud of that. We're involved in most of the Vision 2030 programs, all the usual suspects, the Giddiyas, the Ra'iyas, King Salman Park. We're doing the treatment plant there. So back to kind of planting trees, we're actively involved in that.
You are also involved in the water we are actually drinking, and also our plans for skiing in Trojena, inshallah.
True, we're building the ski village in
Trojena. Fantastic. You mentioned great giga projects that Al-Bawani is part of. Is Al Bawani a private held company?
We are privately held. However, PIF took a stake in the business back in 21-22. PIF obviously is a major driver of the Saudi economy and is an enabler for the various Vision 2030 programs. So they approached us saying we have those highly ambitious projects, giga projects that we want to deliver, and we want to make sure that we have the local capacity, the bandwidth to embark and successfully deliver those projects. So we've been among one of the contractors. We were the first to really work with them, and they're represented in our board, and it's been a great partnership.
Just to capitalize on the NCA point of view, I actually met one of the beneficiaries who signed their contracts before even the graduation.
Yes.
So congratulations for that.
Yes, thank
I
you.
assume they reached 700 graduates. Saudi have been fully recruited at Al Bawani.
Yes, true. So in the program, we screen the candidates from the first day when they're enrolled in the academy. They're Al Bawani employees or the employees of any company that sponsors them.
Fantastic. Now we would like to shed the light on a different topic, which is partnerships. I just want to ask you, after Saudi opens its real estate sector to international participation, where do you see the most exciting opportunities and collaboration?
The opening up of the real estate market is a natural step. The Saudi market has been very open for decades. We've had American firms, European firms, Asian firms, for the past 50 or 60 years. So that openness is not something new for the Saudi economy. What is new is kind of inviting them to come and partner with us in the real estate market. But even on utilities, if I may give you an example, so you mentioned water. So we have international partners working with us, and we've built, as a developer, not a contractor, a desalination plant with 600,000 cubic meter a day. Just to put this in context for the audience, so this would serve 1 million people a day. Yeah? We're involved in developing 2 power plants, 3.6 gigawatt. This is enough to power 1.5 million people as well, or provide the requirements of this figure. So we've done that not alone, but with local, regional, international investors. We're building the Aramco Stadium with one of our Belgian partners, B6. So the Saudi market has been very open. So in real estate now, it's kind of an inflection point where the country is opening up. Tucker made some interesting remarks that, okay, don't sell the whole thing. I'd assure you we won't. We're big believers in our country. However, opening up, I think, will create more balance, bring some FDI, which is healthy. Many Muslims around the world would love to own a property in Mecca and Medina. So many people in the region would love to be part of Riyadh, Jeddah, kind of a transition and success story. So opening up, I think, is healthy, and people will, for sure, come and up to do that, given the strong property rights, digital infrastructure, the safety, the feeling of safety is absolutely crucial for people to invest in any place, which, alhamdulillah, thankfully we have.
Well said, Nasser. So Nasser, Al Bawani is a great example of companies that we are actually proud of. And back to the title of our session, Innovate to Elevate, and I'm pretty sure you are excited about this section in our session. Now we want to dive into the innovation piece. So Al Bawani is already a well-known company here in Saudi. How are you redefining growth and innovation beyond the traditional models?
So this is a subject close to my heart. I believe our sector lacks innovation. Despite its enormous size and significance, just on the size of the sector, besides being a significant employer, at least 40% of the income of an individual goes into construction and the property market, by the way. Just consider the mortgage is about a third of your income. And then every office you use plays part in that equation. All the retail and shopping you do, even the online shopping goes through a warehouse. So it's a very significant sector, yet very little research and development or venture capital goes into the sector. I remember in one of the studies I've seen, it's probably about two or 3 years old, I've seen the comparison between contracting, project development, prop tech, whatever you need to call it, and fintech. So you had like in 1 year, $700 billion going into VC money, going into fintech, and barely 11 going into property, contracting, you name it, in terms of innovation and what have you. So it's very underserved and underrated when it comes to innovation. So to answer your question, if we would touch on, and I want to push the boundaries. I believe this is why such a forum exists, to kind of think, imagine, and push the boundaries. So you have innovation in modular construction. It's very much talked about, but the reality, it's still not very much economically viable. And modular, for the reference of the audience, is kind of when you assemble things in a factory-tested setting, and then you ship them to the construction site. So the lifting cost is still very costly when you kind of add it, and the transport cost. So the logistics is not helping even the economies of scale in this calculation. But if we put our heads together and we have more scale into modular, and we do modular more in kind of piecemeal, such as like MEP modular, then the economics would improve. And if you give more predictability in terms of volume, this would also immensely help, other than the need to kind of innovate within that modular space. So modular is one, the other is innovation in design. And there's been a lot of talk throughout this event about how can we design better homes, better communities, and what have you. This is also still, we talk in events and in research papers, but not a lot of that trickle into reality. I believe, in my view at least, that a lot of it has to do with the very thin margins in the sector.
Can we talk from a Al-Bawani perspective on the design angle? Because I assume it's an angle where it's been touched by everyone here, especially my house or your house. So I assume Al-Bawani is doing a great job when it comes to designing and investing in designing and technologies.
Yes, we worked very hard on our digital transformation plan. I believe some of my team members who worked on that are present here. We've got that approved after extensive challenging, even from our chairman, and we're currently working on the implementation. So the plan is really to try to capture the data throughout the construction life cycle. From the time we look at the bid and review the design, bill of quantity, even the indicative one, to the time we move to finalizing the design, to then moving to the supply chain of placing orders, to the time it's shipped, the items are shipped into the warehouses until they're dispatched, and then we do all the cost accounting. So the data is there, but it's very fragmented. And I believe a group like us who kind of self-deliver are probably more able to capture that than other contractors, even internationally, who mainly subcontract and cannot possess that level of depth in information and data to compile it. So yes, I believe AI could play a big role in the design process, but also there are different ways where you can make use of information to optimize different processes. And I don't like to think in a revolutionary way when it comes to construction design. I believe it's more evolutionary, where various improvements in different areas would make the whole picture much more efficient and much better. But going and trying to say, oh, I will disrupt the whole thing, and I'm a genius of some sort, and I have a lot of financial bandwidth, is not going to work. We've seen very sadly how Katera blew up after SoftBank, with all their extensive financial power, lost or squandered $2 billion with this company.
Well said, Nasser. I assume innovation part is not only for the core business of real estate. Would you share some examples when it comes to the innovation to the business models itself?
Yes, on the business model, His Excellency mentioned tokenization. You know, the problem with an apartment, you can't sell 10,000 riyal or 1,000 riyal an apartment. So trying to kind of subdivide the real estate into units that could be traded is helpful. You have the REITs, but I believe the REITs are a bit kind of more sticky and more rigid. But tokenization could help as long as retailers or retail investors would not create so much speculation. So I think it needs to be regulated. Innovation in the business model. So with some clients, we're talking about the construction management approach, where we'll work with them open book, so they will not outsmart us or we outsmart them. So the other, I think, idea I would love for the market to explore is that we offer housing or construction and properties as a service. The same way you used to buy a CD in the old days for a software, and then you started downloading them, and then you don't even download them now. It's kind of software as a service, yeah? So we want to offer property as a service. So when you're young, we'll get you a studio, and then we increase your premium, which could include all your utilities, and we upsize you to a 1-bed. You get married, we'll give you a 2-bed. You have children, we'll upgrade you to 3-bed, and then when children grow and they leave you, so we can kind of downsize you again. And that's something that the Ministry of Housing and Municipality did try to address, and Excellency brought it up, that the consumer or the buyer behavior should be a bit more practical, and you don't need to buy a house, Beit al-Umar, you know, the house of your life from a young age, where actually you're not using that much of capacity if you're buying a 4-bedroom house. So you need that elasticity and that flexibility. So that's kind of another area of innovation. It's not technological, but it's more of the business model and the mindset. And the regulators can influence that behavior with the carrot and stick of regulations and the power of regulations.
Fantastic. I wish you told me this before, because I'm currently in that paradox now. But yes, I'm happy with my house, but I would love to have it as a SaaS. Now you mentioned that with the VC example, that this market is not that attractive for VCs. Why do you think that this is a problem? It's not attracting the VC company or investment in R&D.
Yeah, I believe probably it has to do more with the margins and the rigidity. Regulations are also not very supportive. You know, you have the building code. The building code changes every few years or sometimes in decades. So it's not really providing that much of an attractive venue for VC money to flow in. But I believe, you know, you need more people to think about it and to try to challenge the status quo. So we need people here in the audience to be more courageous and kind of put in the money to develop the sector. There is nothing more powerful than the power of imagination for a human being.
Regarding the innovation part when it comes to building materials and using some of the competitive advantage that we have in Saudi to really compete in the market.
So one of the very interesting initiatives the Saudi government had is the oil to chemicals program. That how can we use oil to come up with oil derivatives, to come up with construction materials that could be environmentally friendly and be very competitive as well. So even for us as an economy, we can better make use of our natural resources. Concrete, for example, is one of the biggest producers of CO2 emissions. And that's really damaging for the environment. So if we can come up with an alternative for concrete, that could be a big win. Insulation materials, even steel. There is one item called carbon. It's much lighter than steel and much stronger. Okay, it's still extremely expensive process to bring it to life, and kind of make it scale. But the ideas are there. You need that venture capital mindset to go and push the boundaries.
Thank you, Nasser, for the amazing discussion that I personally enjoyed. If you would like to leave our audience with an advice, what would it be?
There have been many great ideas that our speakers brought up. So the great ideas are there. It's really the question for us: how can we put them together to the betterment of our society? The two distinct things we have, I believe, in Saudi is that we have the determination, whether from the leadership or from the public, to really take the country to the next level. And we have the other very distinct things is we have the ability to change, modernize, to progress really in all walks of life. And the other thing that I believe we're very proud of and should remain at the core is our values. Yeah. Tucker was kind of very kind to also stress that. So yes, we need to modernize. We are modernizing. We've been doing that for the past 50 years. And the past 10 years, we've kind of going exponentially. So yes, that's all great. However, we need to keep our values, which kind of distinct us from other cultures, at the core in our plans, in our urban planning, in the way we design our parks, our houses. We need houses that can accommodate our youngsters, but also accommodate our elderly. The family unit is an extremely important part of our society, and we're very proud of that. So whatever designs we're talking about, ideas we're talking about, urban planning and the various ways we think, we need to keep that at the heart of our development plans. Yes, we love to hug trees, but we also equally need to look at the people who are hugging the tree. You need to hug your neighbor and your children and your parents and your friends. So we need to keep the human being at the heart of our plans.
Thank you. And with that, we conclude our session. Thank you, Nasser. Thanks for the great listening, and all the best.
Thank you.